How Kyrie Irving is forcing the hand of the Brooklyn Nets. NBA news: KD trade rumors. Lakers. Before going straight to the content, here is the brand new information on the channel is that 3 lucky winners will get a chance to win PS5. Only you have to just comment your views on this trade in the comments section below. Let's start today's topic. Well guys, as we approach 2022 off-season, we all pretty much knew that something was going to go down with Kyrie Irving, whether that went in one direction or the other. But with some of the ridiculous rumors and news we've been seeing regarding Kyrie's undetermined future in the league over the next couple of seasons, it's something that we undoubtedly need to discuss, because this is something that honestly, I don't think everyone understands what the full realm of possibilities is when this whole situation is all said and done, and what Kyrie decides to do in the end will have a monumental impact on the Brooklyn Nets, for good or for bad, depending on if they play their cards right. One SEC, though. Kyrie and the Brooklyn Nets are currently in shaky waters in terms of their future, because while Kyrie is not yet hitting free agency, he does have a $36.9 million player option sitting on the table that he needs to decide on by June 29th. And while this portion is obviously out of the Nets' control, there have still been continued discussions between both parties regarding a contract extension that haven't gone in the best direction, because as you can assume with a player like Kyrie, who knows what his worth is, going to try to obtain the biggest bag possible for the longest period, the Brooklyn Nets aren't buying into what Kyrie is trying to sell them, because reports are releasing that the Nets have been consistent in pushing an offer towards Kyrie Irving that is, quote, short-term, and incentive-based, essentially meaning in the simplest way possible, the Nets are trying to pay Kyrie Irving only for when he plays, and I mean, you really can't blame them for going in this direction, considering Kyrie has only played in 103 total games in his 3 years in Brooklyn. But also, as you probably could have guessed, Kyrie isn't too thrilled with this. There have been other rumors flying around as well that say, Kyrie and some other major teams in the NBA have a mutual interest in trying to pair up this off-season. The fact of the matter is that Brooklyn is walking a very fine line right now. Other rumors have been flying around that if Kyrie Irving were to dip out of Brooklyn this offseason, and this is whether they would get returned from him in a trade or not, that Kevin Durant would be skeptical about his future in Brooklyn. The fact that KD is just getting into the 4-year $194 million extensions he signed with Brooklyn a couple of years ago makes all of this that much more of a dumpster fire right now. This season, because not only does this offer Brooklyn more time to possibly discuss a contract extension or even a sign-and-trade possibility if it did come to that. So also regarding Kyrie, this is the best situation possible for him to make the most money if he were to sign an extension off of this player option, because as we mentioned, with this $37 million player option, you're sitting on the table right now. If he were to opt in and extend off this, he could be making as much as $45 million a year starting in the 2023 season. And as we know now, some of the bigger contenders to try to get Kyrie Irving this off-season, being the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Knicks, it would be a very tricky situation. No matter where Kyrie wanted to go, considering there would be a lot of caps that needed to be cleared in this process. Lakers only have 6 potential players under contract next season. There's absolutely no way to get this deal done without shipping out Russell Westbrook, which would need to include a third team within a train, because while I have nothing against Russell Westbrook, I don't see a world where the Brooklyn Nets would want him in this situation. LA and Brooklyn find a third team to throw into this that both want to obtain Russell Westbrook, and the Nets stake has valuable pieces they could get in return to keep them in championship contention. Next up, regarding the Knicks, while yes, they technically could free up enough room to sign them in free agency if they were to go through some trades. Again, the idea of Kyrie opting out and walking is very unlikely. So obviously, that would mean a trade or a sign and trade. And with this, some of the names I've seen thrown around to make it work financially would include players like Kemba Walker, Alec Burks, Evan Fournier, and maybe even Nerlens Noel. Now draft assets would be thrown in, and on top of that, this event was to happen, which would be for the Los Angeles Clippers, because just to name a few guys that could be included in this trade. Being shipped to Brooklyn would be guys like Norman Powell, Reggie Jackson, Luke Kennard, Marcus Morris, and even Terrence Mann. Kyrie Irving opts in, demands a trade or a sign and trade is on the table in terms of a team that both wants Kyrie Irving and also has pieces that could be sent back to possibly. Keeping Kevin Durant happy with the Clippers, at least in my eyes, seemed like the most ideal scenario. Where do you think he's going to end up, and also with all things considered? What do you think is the best course of action for the Brooklyn Nets, not just over the next couple of weeks but over the next couple of years as well? And again, you guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to go down below and leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it, and of course subscribe while you're down there.